Hi there. Welcome to Craft with Kathie. Okay, tonight's project's going to be using June's Club Couture. And if you haven't seen it, oops, before I cause everything to spill over. If you haven't seen it, it actually comes with a nice little tea towel. Let me take this out of the package. And 2 packets of Couture Teal ink and 1 packet of shimmer gold ink. And I'm going to move this ink mat out of the way for a moment, and we'll talk about that in a sec. As soon as I get this opened, and I want to show you this beautiful design. Now, this does only come with 1 tea towel. However, let me just use my scissors here. You could always pick these up at the store, the department store, or Amazon or whatever. So if you want to make a couple of them, easy enough to do. And this is a pretty good size. I mean, it's a standard tea towel. Obviously, I haven't ironed it or anything. Oops. Get that mat out of the way. Okay. And I probably could get by without using a mat tonight. This is my ink mat. And when I use this, I put it underneath the area that's going to be inked so that my color or my ink doesn't bleed through to the opposite side. Really important if you're doing shirts or tote bags or something like that, where it could bleed. Being that this doesn't really have a back side per se, I'm not worried about it, but I'm going to use it anyway because it'll keep my fabric nice and taut while I work on it. But let me get to showing you this beautiful design. So Club Couture always comes with 3 individual packets of either paste or ink, some kind of embellishment. It might be a surface like the tea towel, or it might just be a chalkable surface that you add to, you use to add dimension or whatever. It really varies. And it comes with a B-size transfer, and our B-size transfers or stencils are 8.5 by 11 inches. Ta-da! Look at this. We've got 5 different prints. I'd say they're kind of boho prints. They're called modern patterns. And I guess the big thing is I have to decide what I want to put on this tea towel. Now, I think I've seen the larger, like, flowered design used, but I think I'm going to use, I know I'm going to use this little stripes. I don't know if I want to use the flowers or if I want to use these little hexagons, right? They'd be hexagons, 6-sided hexagons. I don't know. They're both really cute. I don't know. You have a choice. Drop it in the comments. Let me know. And as I get this cut apart and whatever, I'll kind of mull it over and see what you have to say. I'm coming at you from the suburbs west of Chicago. Drop me a line and let me know where you're viewing from. Now I'm taking it out of its little cellophane envelope, and all of our stencils come in this little cellophane envelope and with a sheet of instructions on the back that covers use and care. And I actually hang mine up in a closet on a hanger with these little tabs. So that's how I store my stencils or transfers. You could think of them as our transfers / stencils as stencils on steroids because they are adhesive backed. They are made out of vinyl, which is the teal portion, and where you're seeing the white, you're actually seeing through to the backer sheet, and that is actually silk screen. And this stencil has a cut line, so I'm going to go across it and cut it. You could cut through the backer sheet if you want. I've changed the way I do things. I don't cut through my backer sheet anymore. I just cut the stencil, and then I put everything on its backer sheet, put it back in that little envelope, and hang it up. Otherwise, I'm missing it, and I just cut that a little crooked, but that's fine. It's not going to hurt it. It's not on the design at all. Club Couture is the hottest subscription package for home decor that's out there right now. Every month you get an 8.5 by 11 inch stencil that's reusable, 3 individual packets of paste or ink depending upon the project, some type of embellishment or surface to do the project on, and complete instructions delivered to your door. Delivery is on us. It's $21.99 a month in the US, $26.99 in Canada. What do you think about using teal in a kitchen? I think it's pretty and it's cheerful, very cheerful. And I've never had a teal kitchen before. I'm thinking of adding a bunch of accents, keeping my kitchen a little more neutral, but having different colors for accents so I could change it up throughout the year with just flipping things out a little bit instead of repainting. Ink, there's a couple things. It's a little bit different than chalking. First of all, you always want to make sure your fingers are clean. You don't want to have any ink on your fingers when you lift up the stencil, because then you could actually smudge and get some ink on your surface, and you don't want that to happen. So always do finger checks. And the other thing with ink is you don't have to fuzz your transfer because you're putting it down on fabric, so you want it to stick as snugly as possible. So I am going to put my tea towel on this ink mat. If you don't have an ink mat, you could use a piece of cardboard, or actually if it's something like this where there's no back and you're not worried about it bleeding to the other side, you could probably get by without putting anything on it. Okay, this tea towel has a little loop here for hanging if you want, so I am going to ink the bottom portion. And actually the best way to put my ink mat on it is just apply the ink mat to the back side. It's sticky. Smooth it down, flip it over. You want to make sure everything's nice and smooth. And I'm going to start with my design in the middle, and then I'm going to do the edges, if that makes any sense. And I'm going to go with these flowers. I think they're so pretty. The ink mat that I'm using is actually our long and narrow one that I've actually cut in half. We have 2 different size ink mats, and this one, it's cut in half. It's perfect for doing t-shirts with, so hence that's why I cut it in 2, so that I could have multiple things going at one time. Okay, and I'm going to do that in the teal. You want to massage your ink packet a little bit. Then I like pushing the ink down towards the top because I open it from the bottom, so that I keep this little color block intact so that I could see what color. There's enough ink or paste in the packets to do multiple projects, so I like caring for the packets appropriately, sealing them up when I'm done, and making them airtight so that I can use the remaining ink or paste for another project. I'm terrible at cleaning my tools. I'll clean my transfers right away because you don't want to leave paste or chalk on them. You don't want anything drying in the silk screen, and you don't want them sitting in water either. But as far as my squeegees, doesn't hurt if they wait till the next day, right? So let me know what you think about this month's Club Couture, what you think of the design and how you might use it. I'm going to actually use my little stir sticks to scoop ink out of these little packets. Let me grab a couple of stir sticks here. Okay. Hang on, I just actually moved my screen. Okay, so I could see comments. Very good. So I open it from the bottom to keep this portion intact. And then when I'm done using it, because there's going to be lots of ink left over on this, I just roll it up, seal it with a clip or a paper clip or a binder or a piece of tape or washi tape, and put it away for the next use. Woo, I took out a lot there. I really don't need that much paste. I know I don't. Let's see if I could just put this on the side for a moment. Okay. So all I do is go over, I said paste, I meant ink. I go over, I want to make sure I stay on this transfer. I don't want to go off onto my fabric. So I have to be a little careful. If you're concerned about going off of the transfer or the stencil, you could call it one or the other, then put a piece of washi tape or a placement tape on the edges so that if you do go off, you just hit the tape. Just gives you an extra little bit of protection there. And take your time, no hurry. Ink takes a lot longer to dry than the paste, so you don't have to worry about it drying in the silk screen. You could take your time with it. And I'm going over the area a couple times, just getting that ink through the silk screen and letting it soak into the fabric. I might actually need a little bit more ink here. How do you like that? So I want to get all the white areas covered. Like I said, being careful not to go off the stencil. And I'm actually going to show you how to clean this stencil. It's easy, because I'm going to clean it before I use it again. I'm just scooping up any excess here. I hit a little white area. See if I can get a little bit more ink on it. Where did I see that spot? Right there. And right there. I might actually have to scoop a little bit more out. I thought I had plenty. But I'm looking a little light right here. Scoop the excess off the bottom. Nope, I do need to grab a little bit more. Just a teeny bit. Okay, now I want to check my fingers, make sure I don't have any ink on them. Okay, and then I'm going to lift up my stencil. And let's take a peek. Oh, isn't that pretty? Kind of delicate. I'm going to set that on the side, and I'm going to get ready to use my next color with the next design. Again, massage my ink a little bit just like I would my paste. Push it towards the bottom or towards the top because I'm cutting open the bottom. And let me get my other design that I'm going to put over the top of this. There we go. So again, I'm going to just eyeball it, center it. Make sure I've got the same distance from side to side. Smooth it down. And actually with this, I think I am going to use some of my transfer tape just to make sure I don't run into the other design. My placement tape. Or you could actually use painter's tape if you have painter's tape. So I just want to catch the edges. There we go. Gives me a little bit more leeway. And grab on my other stir stick, open up this ink. and scoop just a little bit out. You can see it's a little bit more runny than our paste would be. Okay, then I'm just going to apply it. Same thing. Cover the stencil, the white area of the stencil, with the shimmer gold ink. Isn't this easy? And there's no pressure. Relax, take your time. That's the nice thing about ink. No hurry, no paste and peel where you pull part of it up to make sure it doesn't dry on the silk screen. You're fine. Going back over, pulling up any excess. I'm going to need a little bit more here. Let me grab a little bit more ink. I want to be careful where I lay that. Make sure I don't have ink on my fingers. And when I scoop this up, I want to be careful not to dribble any on my tea towel too. So I have to be a little bit careful with that. Our ink is permanent once it is heat set. And you could heat set with an iron or with a heat press. Either will work fine. Iron, you do it for 4 minutes at the temperature appropriate for the fabric. Heat press, you do it at the temperature and the time specified by your heat press, by the manufacturer of your heat press. Okay, I've got a little excess gold here. I'm going to try scooping it up, cleaning that up a little bit. My little edges. Looks like I might have missed a little bit down here. Okay, and set that aside. Make sure I don't have any ink on my fingers. Look what I do. Let me clean that up. Got the finger and the nail. Okay, and then I'm going to peel and reveal. Lift this up. Isn't that beautiful? Again, check my fingers. I'm going to put this aside and clean these transfers so that I could clean them and reuse them. I could probably reuse them without cleaning them, but being that I'm using ink, I want to be super careful and not get any smudges or anything, so I'm going to clean them before I go on to the next part of it. And cleaning's super easy. These are rather small. Let me pull this tape off. And for this, normally I would use, if it was larger, I would use a board eraser to clean it, but I think I'm going to just grab a disinfecting wipe. I usually finish up with a disinfecting wipe, but these are so small that I think I could just get by without using the board eraser. Look at how easy that ink comes off. Our ink and our paste are both water soluble, so cleanup's really easy. And once I get the top cleaned off, then I'm going to flip it over and clean the sticky side, the adhesive side. Want to get all the ink out of the silk screen. Whoops. And then once I have all the ink out, I like to go back over it. Maybe I'll clean this one up first. I like to go back over it and basically remove any of the lint that it picked up from the fabric surface. That makes it sticky again, kind of renews the adhesive. Okay. Time to remove any lint. I don't know if we're going to see it being that the tea towel's white, when I use my fuzzing cloth for fuzzing, you could see it because it leaves little pieces of teal lint all over. But this is picking up a little bit more excess paste, so I want to make sure that's nice and clean. Now, when you have your transfer or your stencils clean, you want to lay them sticky side up to dry. And then you could reuse them again, or you actually just put them back on their little backer sheet, that white backing that we had, that I peeled them off, and put them away until the next use. But I'm going to use these again, so I want to speed dry them. And the easiest way to dry them quickly is to use a fuzzing cloth. Okay, our fuzzing cloth is one side is terry, the other side's like a microfiber. To speed dry these, I will put them sticky side up, doesn't have much stick right now, on the microfiber side. Then I'll fold over my fuzzing cloth, squeeze the moisture out, and they're actually almost dry. I'm going to set this aside for a moment, rearrange things here a little bit, and then I'll be ready to use them again. How quick and simple was that? Now, I need to take off, I have to be careful because this is still wet. I could actually use my drying tool, but I'm just going to be careful instead. I need to put my mat underneath it again, over to the side. Whoops. Oh, good thing I didn't drop it on the floor, right? So for expediency's sake, I'm using my little drying tool here to dry it so that I don't smudge it as I actually ink the rest of the towel. If you don't have a drying tool, you could use a hair dryer on a cool setting. You don't want hot heat. You want something, it might be slightly warm, but basically more focused airflow than anything else. Now, after I've dried it, I took my stencil that I've cleaned, realigned it over two of the flowers that I had already inked so that I know that everything's in alignment to do the rest of it on the left. And then I'm basically going to repeat it and do the same thing on the right for both different images, using the dryer in between to dry before I go on to the next step. If you don't have a dryer or anything, you could just set it aside for a half hour or overnight or an hour, go watch a sitcom or whatever, and come back and do the next step. Whatever really works for you, right? And here I'm just lining up my little lines. This was a little bit more difficult to line up because those lines are not, each of them are not symmetrical. The flowers are the same images, but the lines are a little bit different from one to another. So I just kind of lined it up as best as I could and then went to town inking the rest of it. I'm actually thinking that this, I like the color so much. We have cream colored blinds on the kitchen windows, but I'm thinking, wouldn't this look pretty as a valance to coordinate with a bunch of dishcloths or tea towels? So I'm actually thinking that maybe I'll make the tea towels, grab a bunch of tea towels and ink them, and then just fold over and make a little pocket to string them on a rod and use them as a little valance on the windows. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that idea. I haven't actually done it yet, but I really am so in love with this pattern, or the patterns available in June's Chalk Couture, that I want to use them all over. I think the flower is very pretty, but also I want to do that hexagon design and maybe the boulder print on a canister set or a ceramic set of canisters. Heat setting ceramic is a little bit different, and I'm not quite sure about doing the canisters. Generally for ceramics, I would heat set in an oven that I generally do not use for cooking, maybe like a toaster oven or whatever. But for the actual canisters, I don't know. I have to toy or play around with that idea a little bit more. Club Couture is so much fun. It's like a little hour of creative bliss that it comes in the mail and it's there, and everything you need is there except for the surface, unless we're supplying a surface, which sometimes we do. But decide what you're going to use it on, free up an hour, and just play with it. Give yourself the opportunity to create, relieve a little bit of stress. Really, sometimes it can be magical. It is so much fun. And for $21.99 in the US, $26.99 in Canada, it's definitely worth it. It's reusable. Create something for yourself, create it for a friend, create it as a gift. You don't have to, there's no time limit. It's not like it's going to spoil or anything. Your transfers, as long as you clean them properly, are reusable. So have some fun and enjoy yourself. If you'd like to know more information about Club Couture, just comment club below. It's a monthly subscription package. Like I said, every month has an exclusive design for club members. A B size 8.5 by 11 inch transfer. Comes with 3 individual packets of paste or ink. Your first month you get a squeegee with it. And then you either get an embellishment of some sort or a surface. Lately we've been getting some really cool surfaces. Oops, I went too far on this. I'm going to have to straighten out my edges here. That's fine. Last month we had an acrylic surface. And wait, do we have an acrylic? No, last month we had a galvanized metal surface. And the month before we had acrylic, and the month before that we actually had like a little canvas cosmetic bag. So it's been kind of cool. So I'm going to have to move my design a little bit over there. That's fine. And do the edges here so that they're symmetrical. But that's it. I'm going to do that on my own. You get the idea of what we're doing here. It was easy enough to do, wasn't it? And so pretty. Let me know where you'd use these designs, on what other things you might want to put them on in your kitchen, what your thoughts are. I'm always open to ideas and suggestions. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope this was enlightening and showed you how easy it is to ink or to chalk. It really is a lot of fun, and to see your little masterpieces come to life so simply and quickly in under an hour is it's cool. Thank you for joining me. I will see you soon.